Hey, so I asked the beekeeper to give me 12 bees, but he gave me 13. I went back to him and I said, sir, you gave me 13. I only wanted 12. He gave me one too many. He said, hey, that's a freebie. It's kind of like the government. Hey, you got a freebie going on. That's a socialist kind of code word for we're going to screw you. And they do that almost every day. I mean, this socialist movement that's going on in North America, actually in the free world, ain't so free anymore in the world. Let me correct that. It's not nice. I mean, and it's bad. And people, they just don't get it. I'm going to get free health care. I'm going to get free dental care. And everything's going to be free now. And aren't I happy? Nothing is free. There ain't a free lunch. Somebody has to make the free lunch, right? Somebody has to serve that free lunch. Who pays them? Government pays them, so it's still free. No, it's not. How can we ever get through to people to understand that word free? In a letter to Congress recently, the Biden administration said this: we now want to require banks to report annual inflows and outflows from their bank accounts of at least $600 worth of transactions. Holy smokes, $600. There's an uprising going on with this, and with most people with minds, some people are just in a coma, and they say, so what? It's just more stuff. Who cares about more stuff? But it's a huge intrusion. It's a big intrusion of privacy into your lives. I mean, Democrats don't trust Americans to start with because they're saying you're not going to pay taxes, so we're going to monitor you. But to do that, it's going to cost a whole bunch of money to set up more divisions, which means we have to take more of your money, so you're raising the taxes all of the time, and everyone has a breaking point. Y'all got to remember whose country this is. The people own the country. Governments come and go. They work for the people. So you don't trust them, Biden? Okay. But what if they do start, bad laws shouldn't be obeyed. What if they do start to not pay their taxes? Are they dishonest and they're crooked? Not so much. They're not obeying bad laws because you're intrusive. You're in their life. I mean, liberals overtax citizens. They have cause people have cause to understand. They get it. They say, you're wasting my money. It's my money. You're just a dumb liberal. Okay, an Amnesty International, that's the name of a group, Amnesty International. They recently were asked whether victims should have weapons to defend themselves. Their response here is nothing short of astounding. Sit down so you kind of get all this, because it's shocking. It's that bad. We at Amnesty International are not going to condone escalation of the flow of arms, to empower victims to create an element of retaliation. Whenever you create a sword fight by letting the poor people fight back and give them arms, it creates an added element of complexity. You do not know what the results could be. That sounds like Justin Trudeau. That's something he would say in Canada. This country, I'm not even sure. I think it's the US. Could be Africa, but it's definitely Canada, because that's how he thinks and that is how he talks. I mean, Amnesty International prefers a slaughter instead of self-defense, mass murder instead of armed conflict. Sounds like a lot of governments we know. Oh boy, apparently Jason Kenney, that would be the boss, I guess, the Premier of Alberta, Canada. And he's done an interesting thing recently, and apparently this is true. I say apparently because I've gotten this information from some members of Parliament, some MLAs, members of Legislative Assembly, and they tell me it's true, but we haven't dug into it other than that, but I do believe it's true. So what Kenney has done is he's rejigged the policy on suicides. About 75%, apparently again, because some of these numbers are a little wishy-washy, but more or less 75% of all gun deaths in Alberta are committed by suicide. What Kenney's now doing is he's saying, hey, from now on, it's not a suicide unless there's a note. There has to be a note. If there's not a note, even though it's clearly a suicide, if there's no note, it goes down in the books as a gun violence. So now you got the gun control groups that look around and say, look at this, gun violence is on the rise, it's up 80%. When in fact it really isn't. It's how you kind of work the numbers, right? I mean, there's a new CFO in Alberta, and I hope she gets on this, the CSSA in Canada, Canadian Shooting Sports Association. I've given this information to them, and I'm sure they will push it and find out about it and make people aware. Awareness is kind of a big thing, right? Right now there isn't any. This is deceitful. He and Biden, maybe they're related. Alberta independence, it's needed. You need a free country somewhere in the world, right, to separate from the country that they're a part of now, to stand up for capitalism and freedom and independence. And Alberta is the place to do that, because you have to have anger. Albertans are angry. Not only angry, they're ticked right off, as they should be. The world needs a conservative capitalist model of a country. Alberta is that model. Alberta's been in an abusive relationship for 150 years. Wow, it's time to separate. Get a divorce. Do it for the kids. Pack, move, go, Right for Alberta is a news outlet, rightforalberta.com, and I'm in charge of that. Don't you know? It hasn't launched yet, but it's coming pretty soon. News and Views with Attitude. It's going to inform the voters about pros and cons of separating. You've been to counselors, you've done all this stuff. So should you continue? Should you move into the basement, or should you pack and move? We're going to help with that. And I personally, I'm going to do up to 200 freedom rallies in Alberta. Oh, my old body, but I'm going to do it. And I hope it's not too cold next winter. The election is about a year and a bit. Year and a half, actually, from now. So we have time to kind of get all ready, tool up and ready to go, which we're doing. Lastly, of the day, we have podcasts. That's without the view. I have a face for radio anyway. You can listen when you're driving, when you're doing anything like that. Right, Rick? With us, he posts everything, so y'all can have a listen or you can have a look, but get the message and do something with it. Don't just listen and smile or laugh or frown. Do something. Put it in a bag, stir it up, and say, hey, I can do something with this. I'm going to call somebody. I'm going to cause awareness. I'm going to make a difference. Y'all come back in a couple of days when we have a new video for you from the right. Ha ha. See ya.